But yeah, I mean, David Goggins. Oh, I mean, come on. I mean, that guy is. See, I think we all knew he was a superhero, but
Well, I didn't.
now the world knows he's a superhero.
So we first met David at the Marquis Jet sales meeting in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was the first time we ever became aware of him. Jesse had brought him in because Jesse had discovered him. Jesse Itzler, by the way.
Shout out to Jesse.
Shout out to Jesse. Jesse had discovered David, I guess, through some sort of marathon that he was running.
Yeah.
And he just thought he was super inspirational and said, "Hey, I have this sales meeting with my jet company, Marquis Jet. I'm going to fly you in and I want you to speak to these people." And he
Jesse, by the way, is like, I mean,
he's another inspiration.
I'm sure you mentioned him, but yeah, this guy is, you know,
tremendous entrepreneur. Hopefully one day we'll have him on.
Physical. I think people know him now. I'm so happy he brought the brand out to light of really build your life resume and all the stuff he's doing, because his whole story is the story. Like, I remember he used to always come up with these schemes trying to make, you know, brands and different stuff.
Yep.
And I would tell him, like, bro, just fucking literally just talk about yourself. Like, and he never wanted to do that.
That's hard. That's a big leap. That's a big leap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah. He was saying, nah, people don't want to hear. Of course they do. But like, you could tell about just the mental grit to run 100 miles, which he did.
Yeah.
They call him the 100-mile man. And he would talk to his friends, LeBron, or the people that would be friendly with him, that you would think physically, like, are not going to be impressed by that. Think LeBron ever ran 100 miles? LeBron would go, "What did you do?" And he would explain it.
Right.
And, you know, that grit, that mental attitude of, and I've seen it. I mean, I've gone for runs with him or been in a steam, you know, a sauna with him.
Yeah.
His mind is over his body, and he's just fucking, and I think Goggins inspired him in that regard, because he's already the guy who's not going to be the last person. Jesse is the guy who's not going to be the first person to leave a sauna. He'll pass out before, and he does that. He's talked about that, and it's true.
Yeah.
He will
competitive.
outlast the last person, like whether it's an old Russian guy who's been doing this for 30 years, he has to outlast that guy. Or he has to take an ice plunge and be in the ice longer than you, or run. And that's like his thing. So he must have seen Goggins and went, "Oh, I finally met somebody that can inspire me to do, you know."
Oh my God. And I remember, I don't know about you, but I'm going to give you my first impression of Goggins, and I would love to hear your first impression of Goggins. Because I remember him coming in and obviously doing this used to be me, right? When he was heavy. Yeah. And now this is me now. I'm a Navy SEAL. I'm running. I never forget. I run 100 miles. I run to work. I run home. I bike home from work, whatever. Like, he was just saying this like wild shit. And I remember him saying, like, I run 100 miles at least. I think he said like once a week, or like just something like that. I was like, that's not even, nobody could run 100 miles. It's not even possible. This guy's like, you know, because like you hear these quote unquote gurus that go around and they talk, and who really knows? You know, I mean, you could say whatever you want in front of a crowd of people, but who knows if it's real? I was super skeptical of this guy when I first met. I was like, this is all right. You talk a good game or whatever, but like, there's no way you're running 100 miles. I didn't even think it was possible of a human being to run 100 miles until I met David Goggins, right? Or even heard him say it, right? And then I'll never forget, we leave the auditorium where he spoke and told his story, and we were getting on a bus to go to a party and have cocktails, okay? I remember getting on the bus and seeing David Goggins putting on running gear in the middle of the on the sidewalk, and our bus starts to pull away, and David Goggins, like Superman, like starts running past our bus, and I'm like, is this guy for real? I'm like, this guy's putting on a show. He's doing it. He knows we can see him. He's just doing this, you know. Right. I'm like, all right, I get it, guy. You know what I mean? This is when I became a believer. I said, it's either this or like this guy's. I said, even if this is a hustle, I'm all in on this guy. Because I remember we went to the party where what was the magician's name? He was there, Simon the Magician. He's doing his magic, where we're all having a good old time at this, you know, sales meeting kind of networking event. And we're all drinking as we would, right, with the marquee culture. It was a lot of fun, right? I remember we had a good time. We get back onto the bus to take us back to the hotel. Hours later, Hours later. Had to be 4 hours later. We pull up to the hotel. Who do I see come running down the street? Goggins.
Oh yeah.
Still running. 4 hours later, was still running. And he didn't stop. He didn't come back into the hotel. He kept going past us. I said, holy shit. This guy's legit. I became a believer right then and there. And then obviously Goggins became a fixture around the office. We started seeing him more and more, and he would hang out in 850. And obviously, you know, wow, what a story. What a story he has. And, you know, we and I remember I would tell people about this guy, and people would be like, no way. Like, you know, because like it's almost like, you know, larger than life. It's like a mythical tale almost, right?
It's like John Henry, like, you know, when they talk about,
exactly.
Yeah, right. Or Paul Bunyan and shit. Like, he chops down trees, like, okay. It doesn't even sound, yeah, it's like stupid. He would tell stories. Oh, he ruptured his quad.
Right.
Tore his quad. I mean, if you ever get a Charlie horse, you got to stop. Like, right? I mean,
right.
Tear your quad. It's like getting shot. It's
right.
Like being shot. And he ran another 50 miles on a torn quad.
Yeah.
Imagine like spraining your ankle and just and continuing to run. No, hell no. Everybody just sits down.
Yeah.
The guy is like, he's unbelievable.
He fractured his shin and taped up his shins with duct tape. Did you ever hear that story?
I love him. So I'm so happy he's getting his due.
Oh my God. It's unbelievable.
Because
unbelievable.
I thought to myself, the world ain't right. If this guy isn't making tons of money and have millions of followers, fuck this world. Like, how else, right? Someone who works harder than anyone, literally, and is eloquent, funny, and people don't see he's funny. He's funny. He's just, you know, he's just so deadpan because he has one mode, you know, just fucking Roger that, like deadpan.
Right.
But he's so like giving too. He's raised so much money for the fallen soldiers and all this stuff, and
he's incredible.
Gives of his mentality, and anybody who's like trying hard, he gives them motivation.
It's unbelievable.
So, like you said, most people who selling motivation are bullshit artists.
Right.
The guy's literally
no
doing it.
Yeah.
And if he's not successful, fuck this. Like, that's how I always used to think. So
right.
Finally, Rogan is talking to him, and
right.
In the world, he has millions of followers, and the world loves him.
It's unbelievable.
If anybody else should, I mean, this is the one person I would think deserves that. And I'm so happy that he finally has that.
Right. Yeah. So this is a funny story. This is years ago, obviously, at this point. But I remember.
By the way, just the irony to close that is, you think he could give a fuck about it?
No, that's right. Right.
He doesn't give a shit.
He's take it or leave it. He's take it or leave it.
You don't like me? Fuck you. Like,
right.
That's the rub. That's sort of like, you know, you would think.
Right.
It's not like he's sitting back going, hey, look what I accomplished. He's probably running right now.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So
no doubt about it.
It's not like he enjoys the celebrity. I don't think he gives a shit.
Well,
but I'm just happy that it's able to become a gainful, actual outlet, where
right.
it's not just him doing the work. It's that he could also touch so many people and actually, earn from it.
Right. The funny thing is, we've been doing Goggins' site for a while, you know what I mean? Obviously through our relationship with Jennifer that we started at MGX, I guess, or 850 when she started working at 850. So we had been doing Goggins' site for quite a while. And, way before the world knew who Goggins was, we had the, pretty basic website up for him at one point, and obviously the site has evolved. But with that being said, at that time, we had him on a regular web host, $25 a month web host that didn't really require any kind of crazy bells and whistles because, it's like a regular website. His site wasn't getting a massive amount of traffic yet. Right. So I remember one day, Jennifer had emailed me and she said, hey, David's site is down for some reason. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Like, why is his site down? And then I look at his social media following and it grew to like 250,000 followers. And I go, well, Jennifer, I'm like, what happened here? I'm like, what happened? Like, cause like not for nothing, like a couple of months ago, like his following was like maybe like 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers. Like it wasn't anything crazy, but overnight he exploded, quite literally exploded. I said, well,
but the irony overnight, right?
No, of course not.
Running probably 500,000 miles.
Right.
Over like 20 years of the hardest shit.
No.
I know. I'm picking on your use of word, of course. I'm just being facetious there. But the fact of like, that's what overnight celebrity is, right? It's like grind for 30 years doing the hardest shit in the world. And then the blip uptick happens. Right. That's the anomaly that happens.
Right.
From dedication. He was credit to Jennifer and him to know to go on to social and continue to post themselves.
Yeah. It was the world waking up to who David Goggins was. David Goggins had been working on David Goggins for a lifetime, right? Yeah. And being David, he was being David Goggins his entire life, but it was the world that woke up overnight, I should say, right? Sure, right. I hope that makes more sense. And so the awareness started to build.
You don't want the bell to ring and it's Goggins.
No, that's the last thing we want.
That guy can think of 20 ways to kill a person. Forget about the working out. Nobody talks about the other thing. David Goggins is a lethal machine, but he doesn't talk about that.
So
you don't want to be on his bad side.
So I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And obviously got them on a dedicated server. And so now the site is, solid as a rock. Yeah. Goggins, what an amazing pleasure it's been for us to track his journey, right? Like, and we've had front row seats to it, quite literally. I mean, and obviously you got to work on his brand. I got to work with them on the website, and we still work with them on the website. It's just,
and he was very hands-on. I know he's hands-on with the site, but with
of course,
the brand, talk about pressure, because I respect him so much, just this, like anything else, right? So, to be able to do that logo, and be tapped by Jennifer and David directly and say like, we want you to work on it. Mm-hmm. That meant a lot to me. And the irony was, Adam, I don't even know if I told you this. I ebb and flow with my own workout routines and my own weight, and you've known me for all these years, and I get in like really good shape, and sometimes I fall off and I get in bad shape and I go back and forth. David's obviously one of these beacons of like working hard and getting back, he's like a perfect, adrenaline shot. If you want to start getting back in shape, watch him a few times. Watch David Goggins videos, or read his book, right? So I had his book from when they published it. This is how many years ago now, right? Like years, 5, 6 years ago, when they published it. I worked on, we worked on the site together, and I had it, but I never read it. I felt like I know his story. I've heard him personally tell his story so many times.
Of course,
I just never read it. And I was in sort of a funk. It was maybe a year and a half ago at this point. Well, now maybe 2 years ago. Time is so fucked up now because of the pandemic and everything. I think it was about 2 years ago. And I was in a funk. I said, I need some motivation. I'm going to read Goggins' book. I'm going to read his book. And I picked it up. I needed it. I just needed it. You know what I mean? And I picked it up. I started, and I loved it. I read it. I tore right into it. I mean, it's so good. If anybody hasn't read it, it's so juicy and interesting. And like, you just get right into it. It's heartbreaking in the beginning because it's really his story. And he had a tough life. And his mind state, and I'm reading, I'm loving it. I'm about halfway into it. I'm keeping a journal because if you read the book, it tells you to keep a journal and, to hold yourself accountable. And I started it, right? Mm-hmm. And I swear I was halfway through the book when Jennifer emails me out of the blue. We're always on good terms, but a couple of years I haven't heard. And hey, she tells me about the logo thing, that he needs a logo. I go, Jennifer, would you believe? And I took a picture of the book on my nightstand with the notebook. I said, would you believe this is the first time I've ever really read the book? And I said, I'm embarrassed to admit, I hadn't read it yet, but I'm in it now. So you telling me to do this now, I'm primed. Like, I'm in Goggins mode. I'm keeping a fucking journal. I'm working out again. I'm reading it. I'm reading his mind state. So to tell me, I feel like hopefully that comes across even in the logo,
yeah, for sure.
That I'm in it. Like it wasn't just, it's not like a for hire piece. It was like almost cosmic. I hate to sound like, kind of magical or whatever, but come on, man. Like I picked the book up, I read it a little bit, and the person calls, I was like shaking. I was like, I can't believe this.
Right.
So of course the pressure was there. It was like, it has to be the greatest and it has to make him so happy. So I went in every direction. I went all the things. I thought about the infinite, no rest days. The only easy day is yesterday. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's infinity, but it's like barbed wire infinity. And maybe and I went all these directions. I said, maybe it's an outline like the Jumpman, or maybe it's, so I went in that direction. And then one of them was an axe, because he has the tattoo of his axe on his back, this war axe. And that's on him. So like, it's hard, like that's on him. So that's immovable. That's a piece of him. So it kept coming back to the axe. And then it was the DG, and it was something sort of like, it's sort of poetic license, because there's one, the D is almost backwards, but it's still a D. And we created it, and I went through the different handles, and how should the handle taper? Should it be like bowed in the middle? Should it be straight? Should there be a point at the top? Should the point be taller, smaller? What's the proportion between the point and, if I told you the permutations, well,
of course,
but a lot goes into it, and we finally nailed it. I would send him back and forth, and he was all about it. We would do weekly calls. I'm really feeling this one, man. I like this one. So, he's not a person that just would just adopt something. I wanted him to be part of that process, and he really was, and very gracious with his time and his energy, because he wanted to get it right. And so I just feel totally blessed and lucky to have been part of that also.